down in Melbourne, Showcars Melbourne, Showdown 13. Now I managed to get down there last year and I was really taken by this show, just how big it is for a one-day show. And the plan was to take my mate Dale down, but he got caught up at work and all sorts of things, so I ended up going down on my own. But I've dragged Dale in to help me through the commentary because he hasn't been to this show.
No, I haven't been there, Howard.
And I thought I'd bring him in because there's so many cars. It's really hard because you sit down and you go, right, I'm going to talk about cars, and this one's, you know, almost 2 hours because we couldn't cut it anymore.
There's a hell of a lot of cars.
Now, what we're looking at now is this is 7 o'clock in the morning, so they sort of start to set up on the Saturday, and then all these cars are the day entrants that come in for the show on the day, but there's already about 250 cars set up inside. So we've run this the way the show went, so all these guys were parked out the front waiting to come in, and then I've just stood there for a couple of hours and sort of waved to people and had a chat and filmed the cars. So we'll go through those and check them out as they come through, and there was once again a really good variety of cars at this event, and I'm seeing more and more, like there was a lot of younger guys, P-platers in 6-cylinder late model Falcons and Commodores, right through to, you know, elderly gentlemen like myself driving their Mustang or their you know, their 57 Chev or whatever.
Some old school muscle and some modern stuff.
So you'll see this HR later on, Dale. It's had a set of triple Webers on it.
Oh, tasty.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of alternative, you know, wheel use and stuff.
Yep.
But I got to just make the comment about the fact that the way this show operates. So Elvis is the guy that runs the show and owns the show.
Yep.
And it's Showcars Melbourne, and he runs a few events in Melbourne. But they've also got club Showcars.
Okay.
And those guys have got together, and this is obviously their 13th year, but they run this event like a club.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the mateship, you know, everything just goes like clockwork. Nothing seems like too much trouble.
Yeah.
It's a bit old school, mate.
Yeah.
Flames on the Torana.
Yep.
Lots of nice XYs there. Yeah, so the whole event just seems to tick over and runs along. Yep. On setup day on the Saturday for all the inside cars and all, they put on a free sausage sizzle.
Wow.
You know, there's drinks and all there, and then there's a VIP night for the entrance at the venue on the Saturday night. So I was fortunate enough to, once I finished filming, I went in and had something to eat.
Yep.
But it's got that really cool feel about it, which I like. So if anyone's watching this and thinking, oh, is it worth going down? It's a really good, you can make a weekend of it.
Yep.
But the show component is the Sunday.
It's a bit of everything.
Look at that old girl there. I don't know what that is actually.
No, it's a bit before my era, Howard, and yours.
I'm sure someone will comment and tell me what that is. I'd call that a pasty back.
Yes.
My dad had a 48 Mercury.
Okay.
4-door.
Yep.
And they used to call them a pasty back because they had that back look like that.
Sweeping
Yeah, big sweeping back on it. Now, the old B-locks, mate, have taken over.
They have. They have.
Unbelievable, the amount of cars. Now this car here, I don't know what Louise has put in because I haven't watched it all because it's so long, but there was a photo of that car on the stand where it was set up.
Yeah.
Wheel standing on the quarter mile, like taken off,
wow.
and it was running some crazy times.
Yeah.
It's got like a 420 something small block in it. Plenty of Monaros.
Yeah.
To tickle your fancy, Dale.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to seeing a few of them. I don't mind the old A9X Torana either.
So they've got a couple of good sponsors. So Shannon's the van there, you can see.
Yep.
And PPG, Rare Spares.
Okay.
And then there's some other smaller ones that I don't have off the top of my head, but they obviously look after them because the same sponsors have been there the 2 years I've been there. It was interesting because obviously some of the clubs met somewhere and cruise down, because
Yep.
you'd get a run of 10 Commodores, then you get 10 Falcons, you know,
Okay.
they'd come in and then you get a handful of hot rods. So there's 2 entries, there's another one
Okay.
up the other end as well.
Yep.
So these guys are pre-entered and they're fixed for the day, but you can also go as a, I think they call it in and out entry or something, you
Right.
can come and go.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Oh, hang on, I've got a drill.
oh, look out, yeah, it's a big one, so it's got the scoop, bead locks.
It's the modern day Simmons, isn't it? The bead
I only
locks.
said that to someone the other day. It's a bit like Simmons. They're just,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to wait and see how long it lasts. So there's sort of 2 directions they're coming in to this entry, and then up the other end, at the other gate, they'll come in the other way as well.
It's not a car, that's a boat.
It is, isn't it?
The
It's a
size of
monster.
the thing.
I couldn't keep it in the frame. I had to sort of walk back.
Yep.
So these guys are all going to the other gate.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and excellent. And then it's like wom, wom, wom.
Yep.
It's nice to see so many cars driven in.
Yes.
You know, you go to a lot of these events and the trailer park's bigger than the show and shine.
Yes, that was the interesting thing at Motorex, is getting out of the hall, and the amount of trailers and support vehicles is crazy. It's great
Now
to see
this
them
car
driving.
here, this Fairlane, that was inside last year, and
Okay.
he's just driven it in and parked up out the front.
Excellent. Good to see them under their own steam.
That's what I like about this opportunity, is to be able to stand there and film it and show people what they sound like, what
Yep.
they look like, because you know normally they're all in a row and you're walking
Yes.
up and down rows. It's nice, but it's
Yeah.
not beadlocks. We might call this the Beadlock Nationals.
It could be.
In a Lambo.
Got everything.
So those units there behind them, I don't reckon they were there last year. Or if they were, none of the footpath and stuff was done.
No,
'Cause
okay, yep.
I'm sort of dodging trees and stuff, and I'm thinking, I don't reckon they were here last year.
It looks very new.
They're building a big block of units behind, like opposite the grandstand.
Okay.
So apparently they've lost a little bit of room to what they used to have. Look how low that is. I think this might be a run of them. There's about 5 of them.
Yeah.
XB351C. There's a number plate on that one. I'm just
Yep.
telling someone.
Yep. It's XB351C. It should be L for low.
Must be building a new one, another car. Yeah, that's crazy low, eh?
Now, as you know, I'm a bit of a Holden man, but that's FG. Is that the
They're FGs, yeah.
FGs? It's
That
FG
one's the
Nationals,
same
was
as
it?
the Ute. That's So I haven't got, well, Lois hasn't got every car in because it was about 4 hours.
Yes.
I run out. I had to change the card in the camera because I run out of space. Check that out.
I wonder what the passenger was doing, then I realised it was a left hooker.
He was looking for the paperwork. So this, I've just grabbed a bit of footage from up top. So this is fairly early on. By lunchtime, that whole area was full of people.
Wow.
And they got a few race cars and stuff there. They were doing startups. So now we're upstairs. So
Okay.
this is Moonee Valley Racecourse. So all these areas are like, where the toad is and all that sort of stuff. And this particular room, I would say, is a function room.
Okay.
So it still gets me that they all just drive in on the carpet and park them in there and drive them back out again. So super clean XR, I think it was. Look at that still, R or T.
It is very clean. Silver mink, or whatever they call it. It's a lovely colour.
Now you'll recognise some of these cars. There's a bit of a double up from last year. Obviously you can't have 800 new cars every year. But there was a good sprinkling of cars I haven't seen before, which is always nice.
Gotta love some chrome.
Chrome and champagne. Now, did you like these, Dale? They were a bit out there when they come out, weren't they?
Yeah, I got to say I wasn't the biggest fan of the tri-spoke wheels. Didn't do it for me back in the time, but I certainly appreciate that there's not many around.
So this is fairly late Saturday Arvo night, so that one had the bonnet down. It might have been up later, but I like to get in at this time to get the cars without trying to dodge around a million people.
Yes. Big block something.
Very nice ute.
Yeah. HG grill, I think so.
So if you're into your Facebook, Killer Cars, a Melbourne-based guy that I've met at a few of these shows that does really good still shots.
Yes.
And also some reels and stuff on Facebook, so check him out. That's a really nice colour, that. Black on black treatment.
Yep. He's got your dad's hat in there.
I was just going to say, he's got a hat on board, the old hat car. It's a good story, that one, Dale. My dad always used to wear a hat, like a gentleman's hat.
Yes.
If that was the right word, I guess. And he had a Cadillac, a white Caddy, and he used to have the hat on the back parcel shelf when he was driving around Adelaide, because he lived in Brownhill. He went to Adelaide. He said to me one day, he said, "Buddy, everyone keeps bipping the horn at me, I don't know what's going on." I said, "Take your hat off the parcel shelf, Dad, and put it on the seat." He said, "What?" I said, "Bloody hat drivers." And it worked. He put it on the seat and it didn't get hassled so much. A couple of nice Kiwis.
Yeah. I think they used to race these. They were a dime a dozen, and now it's 2 arms and a leg to buy a HQ 4-door.
Well, I went to that Rare Spares show and shine up at Blacktown, and they had one of the HQ races there, and I made the comment then that they reckon that race program they had took a lot of cars off the road. They definitely wasted a few.
They certainly had to repair a lot.
Now, I think last year that car was there and we were debating about what it was. I don't know whether the guys made a sign for us this year, but it's a 69 Pontiac GTO.
Now, one of those they called the Judge, but I don't remember whether it was a 69 or a 68 or something like that, but let us know in the comments. Look at that shifter.
Yeah, I was just going to say, check out the, it's not a T-bar, it's a H-bar.
It's a H-bar. So if you close one eye, you can sort of see a bit of HQ Premier influence from the Chevelle.
All of those, and it was interesting when I was doing that, the 71 Camaro, and Dave's mate Joel was doing the HQ next door.
Yep.
The similarities in the radiator support and the bracketry and all that, so similar. And the chassis, the whole lot.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel, you can just modify it. Put a bead lock on it. Yeah.
That's it. I seen a set of these traditional centerlines bead locked.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was at that show.
Yep. That's next level, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a nice. I like that combo, that white with the red. Now, what about this one?
Oh. Le Sabre Tudor.
I've tried to get a few signs for us, Dale, to help us out. There's that many cars
that's
there.
good.
There was I
Great
had to
paint.
go and jump the fence and went down and got a bit more on this. That's a beautiful car.
Is that a two-tone Howard, or is it just the shape of the...
Good question, Dale.
Maybe is there a bit of pearl or something in there that's giving it the different...
Definitely. Oh, so the lower part of the quarter's darker as well. I think it might be just the light reflecting.
Yep.
It's a big chrome build.
It is. It is. There's a lot of buffing there.
It's a little bit unusual on the wheels on that. It actually had like a red rubber insert between the rim and the tyre, rather than a red sidewall.
Oh, like a gutter rash type protector.
Yeah, you'll see it, just the red.
Yeah.
But it's not actually a red sidewall. It's actually between the rim and the tyre.
Yeah.
Something a little bit unusual.
Yeah. Good to be different.
Another sponsor, Penrite.
Yeah.
Because I don't presume the Penrite flag's normally hanging up in the horse place.
I wouldn't think so. Blue meanie.
There's a few there. They're probably getting a bit like the GT Falcons. There's more now than there was when they made them. There he goes.
Be still my beating heart. Hang on. I can tell you they were an absolute boat to drive.
Oh, were they?
What a beautiful shape. They didn't stop, they didn't handle, but they looked fantastic.
It's interesting how all the models are coming on. I was talking to Dave next door the other day, like he's got a VR.
Yep.
And like all the young ones now, he's got some step kids that are 18, 19, and like they're all got VRs because that's the next.
Well, that's it. My son had a VR or VS, and that was the greatest Commodore ever. And I went, no.
Check this. This one must have been an older build. It's got the pearl steering wheel and the old MSD tacho, and it's got the red and blue fittings and all.
Yep.
But man, it was like super cleaned up.
Yeah.
And looking good. But I reckon it was probably a 20-year-old build.
Yep.
It's interesting when I talk to some of the guys at these shows that know all the cars. You go, oh, that's been built 10 years. You go, that's a nice car. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's about 10-year-old. That one's 15 years old.
That's clean, isn't it? You'll see. Another one of my old faves. EH Special. Twin Strombergs.
Yeah, it's got a couple of twins on it.
Might have been an S2.
So the number plates are H2 by the look of it.
An S4 EH, which had the twin Strommies, and
because you had an EH.
I had a couple of EHs. A HP block.
Back when you had hair.
Back when I had hair, it's a long time ago. How? Good memory.
So what do you think of these, Dale?
Well,
Shed Man.
I can't believe how much engine you can cram under a bonnet, and how much instant performance you can get, and reliability, all in one go. But I'd rather have the LJ.
It's a beautiful place to film in there. The light.
Yeah, it's great light.
It's the light. It's set up on a pelmet and throws up onto the ceiling, so you're not getting direct, harsh light. It's a really nice light.
Had to be a familiar shape to you now, Howard.
Yeah, I must admit, I think I'm a bit more prone to like the Camaro than the 69 than the 7071. Now, this one's very interesting, Dale. The amount of engraving, this is almost up to that one we did at SEMA.
Okay, yes.
So anything that could be engraved.
That's certainly some engraving. Wow.
I'm not sure whether the bit on the back's to hold the passenger on. When I interviewed that guy in the States at SEMA, if you haven't watched the SEMA shows, there's a bike on there that was gold with a whole lot of stuff, and it was on the one of the paint stands. And I said to him, "Is this done, computer or something?" He goes, "No, I've got a guy who works at the shop full time that just engraves. That's all he does."
Wow.
So I believe that Mustang's Elvis, the promoter's family, one of his family cars, like in his family.
TE gear with a dirty big snail in it.
Yeah. And I did shoot this last year, but it was up against the wall and I couldn't get a lot of it, and it was nice to see it out where you could sort of get around the side of it. It was beautiful blue.
So these was considered the muscle car in the UK because they had the English version of this Cortina with the 6-cylinder engine. I think they had the 6-cylinder, but that was the biggest engine they had in the UK, and that was,
Well, I can tell you it just aspirated with the 256 in them.
Oh, they were scary quick.
They were a very, very fast car.
They were very quick.
I mean, it was a long time ago. I was only about 18, but when I drove one...
My wife's first car was a Cortina, a pink one with a 250.
Was it?
Mm.
So you don't see this that often, that they had all of this open. So the retractable roof and all.
Yeah, excellent.
And there's some geometry going on in there, I can tell you. Have a look at this.
Yes.
All the electric rams, and you imagine the time it's taken for someone to actually make all that work.
Yep. Thunderbirds I
A
go.
lot of design ideas in there.
Yep.
They go faster.
What's your favourite wheel, Howard?
I was holding back though.
I know, I just poke the bear. Poke the bear, Dale.
Now I like the signs on this. See, it's got the rotating holding signs.
It's cool.
Check out the depth on the paint.
God.
I was trying, you're looking in the camera and I'm thinking, I'm actually capturing this. Look at that. This is the depth of the shine. It was magnificent.
Good colour combo too.
Only talking to a couple of guys on the Sunday Arvo just about the quality of the paint in the scene now. Like the cars that, like it's a street car and the paint's like, would have won paint at bloody some of that's 15 years ago in Elite is now the norm, It's incredible.
Yeah, there's no people taking shortcuts anymore there.
Yeah, I don't know that the product's that much better. It's probably a bit better, but I think just the awareness.
Yes.
And there's obviously shops out there now that are either that or people are prepared to pay a bit more for the extra time to get that. That had the sales docket in the window.
Yes. Now that's a factory with all the options.
Then I've gone, I missed one. I've got to go back. So this is one of the many holes and areas of cars, and that's why the show's so long, because just a massive amount of vehicles there. Under dash air. So I don't know whether this was the black one's mate or whether he just went, you know what, I'm going to do that too.
It sounds like a good idea, he said.
Because this one was there last year downstairs, closed up, and it's like I think you've used the term before, you could land a helicopter on that.
Yes.
So some of these guys are still setting up. And they've got to walk all the stands and all in. HR, I think by memory it said like a late model engine in it when I... Yeah, it's got a
5 litre
VN.
VN, yep.
That, mate, know what I'm talking about.
Hey, I'm impressed, Howard.
That's
Working
what
on
was in
Camaros.
tailspin, mate.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah.
I like this colour.
Oh, whether that's the Commodore green, it's very similar. There was 2 colours in that era, I don't know what model, VR, VS or something, that had that green and the purple.
Yep.
Remember the iridescent purple?
Yes,
They
I
were
remember
really,
the purple.
two really
Yeah.
good colours
Yep.
that come out on the Commodores.
That black just accentuates it really well.
Nice Fairmont.
I just looked over your shoulder, Howard, and there's a picture of Heather's GT.
Yeah,
that
very
looked
similar.
Very
This
similar
was
to that.
this is a W. We had an XY
Yep.
in that Monza green with a gold stripe.
Yep.
So I bought it was a 351 Auto Fairmont GS.
Yep.
So it's pretty much a GT without the suspension and the cam. So I put the suspension and the cam in it and changed the stripes. And
Yeah, it's got the GS striping on it. Yeah.
so this bloke had his parts to do a service as well.
Yep.
Now I've got to apologise. The guy was wiping this down. I said, can I just film that and let you sort of finish, because they're just putting the ropes and stuff up. And he said, I'll just do the windows. I said, you won't see it, but you can.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it, don't pick the windows. Another spectacular car.
Look how good that body line is with the
Checkers.
checkers. That's
Yeah,
it's always
I always say a brave man.
it's always a brave man that does that.
I'd definitely be doing that in the workshop before I took it to a show. Now, I might be mistaken, but I think... Oh, no, not this one. There's another HR just further up that's unrestored.
Okay.
Had a lot of stuff around
Yep.
it like that one. This
Commodore with the bathtub on the back here.
Yeah, now this was downstairs last year, but it was up on ramps and stuff, and I reckon it looks a lot better at ride height.
Yep.
As you'll see in a minute, it's got some fairly big wheels under it. And the detail on this is incredible.
Yeah, that's some serious wheels. Are they 20s? They have to be
22s,
20s.
I reckon.
Yeah. So bigger than 20s. Look at the back. My goodness.
Yeah, I know.
Comes with a built-in spa.
Plenty of stop and power as well.
Some big anchors. This is the S-Pack, I think. Is that what I think that's what they call it. Or G-Pack.
G-Pack.
Pretty popular engine swap.
Yeah, why not? The guys were setting up, and they must have just got to a point at one stage where they weren't happy because they went back the next morning and the car was around straight.
Oh, okay.
And I went, I'm sure that was on an angle last night. They were still working away there. The trolley and all the gear just set up. So this car here, I'm pretty sure had signs and all saying,
yeah, that looks factory. 179. The Brahm.
Brahm, eh?
Yep.
Check out the memberships.
Yeah, the badges, RAC, and
Yeah. My dad used to have them on his vintage cars.
okay. Yep.
Because he drove that 48 I was talking about earlier. He got his Overlander badge. He drove from Broken Hill to Alice Springs in an old 48. So I don't know how far the Overlander badge you got to go, but yeah, that was the sort of stuff they did. They used to use them.
Yeah, Mr. Blackman's.
Yeah, very similar car,
model. Yeah.
I think his is white stripe.
I don't remember. I just remember the striking blue colour.
More Monaros. Right next to a fairly nice XB. I'm not personally a fan of the shaker through the late models, but not my car.
Yep.
It's interesting when you go for a drive nowadays, you don't see too many cars these sort of colours, even with our red cars.
No.
You drive down the road and they're all silver, black and white.
Yep.
This thing had a fair bit of fruit on it. It had a lot of spoilers, a lot of carbon fibre. I'm not going to try and describe it because I don't know what I'm talking about, except that it was a nice colour. And
it's R32, no, maybe 33. I don't remember.
Adrian?
It's a Skyline. It's a
Adrian?
Skyline. Where's Adrian when we
What
need
is
him?
it?
You know me, I just like to put my foot in it so people make comments.
That's it.
It's a Skyline. There you go. That's nice and clean.
I didn't see any badging on it, but they brought out some of these, like in a Go Fast for grandpas.
Mm-hmm.
Had like a little back wing and stuff on them,
Yep.
but there wasn't much on them to disguise. But they were a GT without like a GE or something like that. Not sure why the laser got a berth, but it was in there. So I was turning the camera around and there was some guys standing around behind it, and every time I turned they ran away, so I was trying to film it without. Look at that, Dale.
Holy dooly. Oh, bag's not working on that engine bay.
Get a serious go there, I think.
Oh. My wagon doesn't look that good.
This is the Lounsey special.
Special appearance.
Hey, Craig. The boys are all up the mountain this week.
Yep.
I forgot that was on actually. I'm heading out to Crookwell.
Okay,
on the
yep.
weekend.
Yep.
So I made a few comments about this last year, but he's added a bit more bling, I think. There's a bit more going on with the stand.
favourite colour, another green one. Green Ute. There you go, some Japanese muscle. How we've got a RX-7.
There's a couple side by side there, Dale. Really nice cars. And it's funny when I go to film these with the little engine bays always come in from the side, and it's really easy to get up and over to get a decent look at it. When I was filming that, I thought, oh, a little rotor. So my brother Reg had one of them. He bought a brand new one.
Okay.
It's one of those stories you can tell. You know the stories, Dale? There's always a story.
Tell your stories.
He said, you want to drive? I went, oh yeah? He said, be careful, it goes pretty hard. So we're coming up Oxide Street in Broken Hill. We're going up the hill and I'm in it, staying in it, and there's a car on top of the hill coming up, and he goes, the car? I said, yeah, I know, the stop's good too, does it? He was having a hell of a panic.
We'll find out.
Yeah. A little gear in here. Carbon fibre. Roll cage. Oh, bit of light, it's pretty dark in there.
I'd be worried my bum would be too big for the seat.
No, we were young then. They were new, so that was like, I don't know, 80s.
Wow.
I was probably only 80 kilo then. My apologies, I had to open move one of them doors to get through there. Now, check this little one out. So obviously this doesn't mind getting off the line either.
That's some launch. Look at the top photos, goodness me.
How about that?
Triple rotor. Big snail. RX-4.
I've never got right, like I don't know a lot about them, but I obviously they can take a lot of air.
Yes. And a lot of revs.
I was talking to a nice young lady that owns this car. And she'd like to thank her husband actually, who's a Holden man, for supporting her with her Ford. And the attention to detail on this car is really high from the point of view that to make these engine bays look good is very hard.
Yeah,
the way they're designed.
Yeah, yeah.
And this thing, it's a stunning car.
And quality wasn't at the forte from the factories back in that time either. It wasn't. They weren't the best.
They're lucky to get a lick of paint. They're pretty thin on the paint, on all those, you know, doesn't matter what brand.
Yeah,
It was just
that's right.
That era.
Yep.
A bit of billet going on here. Now we're a nice front, those, I reckon.
Yes, the Calais front with the pop-up light. The VH front was probably one of my favourite of mine. Just like that fine grille. And,
What about with the LS with the pump on it?
well, you know.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of steel, but
Yeah.
looking a bit later model, but still got the steel bumpers. You see many of them in the rear vision mirror, Dale?
I have seen a few in my day. There used to be a particular XE unmarked patrol car in the Illawarra back in the day. Had a black bumper bar, and yeah, it was well known, and so were a lot of drivers in the area.
Now, do you know what this is, Dale? It had a lot of plastic on it.
Yeah,
It's obviously a VY.
I just think it's a fully optioned VY with probably the LS
Like club sport type thing.
Yeah, club sport style.
Now, there was a group of these Commodores that all had this similar look going on with the suspension on. I'd say they're drag race boys. Maybe girls as well.
With lots of horsepower.
Serious
under the
amount
right
of horsepower going on, and then the whole wheel combo. See how tucked under they are?
Yeah,
That car just looks fast sitting there, doesn't it?
yeah. Looks like it's ready to launch.
You said to turn the light on it, black on black on black.
It's a credit to the owners to the preparation and the cleanliness and that attention to detail. Yeah, all motors about right, isn't it?
And these are like the street elite cars. The
Yep.
elite cars are downstairs. We haven't got to them yet. The world locks. Probably just trying to dodge some people there. Sometimes I slow down a bit and I go, and you'll think, what's he doing? It's because I'm waiting for someone to move,
Yes.
so I can
Yep.
just keep flowing along so that it makes the edit time like heaps less. There's a couple of guys there that have moved on now. When we're in the US, Fuzzy was, because there's a crowd there
Yep.
everywhere, he's running
He's running
protection.
interference,
Yeah,
was he?
running interference. And I was filming something and there was a whole lot of people there and he's sort of standing there with his arms out a bit, and then the guy come up to me and he said, "You with the guy with the camera?" He goes, "Yeah," and him and his three mates, there's four of them standing there blocking the crowd.
I could just see Fuzz as a
Yeah, yeah.
linebacker. He'd go all right.
Yep,
Only problem is Fuzz don't run.
that's it.
Love you, Fuzz.
He's getting a new knee, so he'll get
He
rid
might
of the hobble.
run. He might run.
Yeah. So there's a couple more with the big wheels under him.
Stato. Another big snail.
It's definitely a sign of the times, isn't it? So what's that, a very late WRX, is it?
Yeah, that's well, it's an Impreza without the scoop. So it could be a
Oh, okay.
WRX or
Yep.
it could just be the... Hard to know what's
The
hiding
Povo
under that
pack.
bonnet.
Might be the Povo
Yeah.
pack.
Father-in-law had one of these in a wagon. The 350 HG. It's an old school looking build, isn't
like
it?
the
The centre
trims there, it's
line,
got the-
yeah, houndstooth type inserts in the seat. It's like something out of the Running on Empty movie.
So they'll have extra time on that one just for you, Dale.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate that.
Yeah, this is an unusual scoop. It's sort of like a Hornet scoop, but it's not. It's a different shape altogether. So I don't know what it'd be hiding under there. You have something that high, you must have something going on.
Yep. Paint looks deep.
There's a couple of dubs. There was another one like that with the rack and all on it outside. I was going to say on the Sunday. I thought it was all on the Sunday,
Yep.
but I filmed this on the Saturday night. It's a very old schooly look. I remember there was a red Torana from Renmark used to always be at the Adelaide Hot Rod Show.
Okay.
It had the mirrors under the bonnet
Yep.
like that. Just a Six it was called.
Yep.
The 6-cylinder, Just a Six. Very well built and detailed car. Used to do very well. Because like in the 80s, if you had a 6, it was like, no, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So this was
Yeah,
just a 6. Oh, it's just. You must have got sick of hearing people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a 6.
You certainly stood out with a 6-cylinder. A Maserati.
I nearly walked out into the next room or hall,
Yep.
and then I went, oh no, there's another row. Get them as well.
It was the original vacationer station wagon with the louvers and cool.
I don't know what colour that is.
It's like a purpley blue,
Yeah, it's
isn't
got a
it?
purple tinge to it, eh? Bit of rap.
That's better than rap music. But now I'm showing my age. So it probably was an F6 or something like that, or
Lovell's GVM Upgrades offer one of the best suspension upgrade solutions for serious load carrying, towing and off-road adventures. Find the nearest Lovell's store to you at lovellsauto.com.au. Well, where would we be without Lovell's, Dale?
in a whole lot of pain,
There's a whole lot of pain.
especially if you're towing.
So we'd like to thank Lovell's because we're going back to SEMA.
Yes.
And Dale's going to come for a ride. We still haven't planned our trip yet, but we're going to do that and get it booked. The boys, who was I talking to? Someone. We were talking about tickets and all, because the dollar's sitting on 65 at the moment. Doesn't look like it's going up or down.
As long as it doesn't go down, we'll be fine.
That's it. I think the tickets are around 1,300 at the moment, and I think because we booked late last year, we paid 1,700. So now we're in the HSV row.
Yes.
So there's obviously a bit of natural light here. So behind me is a full wall of windows that looks down onto where there's a whole lot of hot rods and stuff. And these are all parked along at the bar.
It looks like it's had a chop top, doesn't it? It's
Yeah,
so narrow.
yeah. And that was the whole thing with the supercars. When they went to this new generation, they had to completely redo, because the Mustang was like a bubble top in the era before. And then once they went to the Camaro and the Mustang, the whole car changed shape, because both the Mustangs and the new Camaro was so tight in the roof, you know, so low. Nice little boss. This was like a bit of a resto mod, so it was pretty much stock looking, and then had all the bling under the bonnet, and then it's got some factory wheels, but they're quite large on the back.
Yes.
And they had like a dress trim or something on it, if I remember rightly. I know one thing for sure, Dale, with the amount of parts we're still selling for coupe restorations, there's going to be a lot more coming out at shows over the next few years, because there's a lot of people at home fixing them up.
They're still needing parts and they're still fixing them.
That's for sure. I find it interesting that you can get a not bad car and take it to the blasters, and when you go to pick it up, that's not mine.
Where's the rest of it?
It's not mine. Yeah, check this one out, Dale.
Oh. Wind in your hair.
I had a bit of a quick chat to this guy, and I said, so who's the brainchild? Because to do this sort of work, you really got to have an artistic flair to sort of bring it together and make it work, and the use of the copper, and you can see the clamps and stuff, God knows what they're off. and he bought it as an unfinished project, and a lot of it was done, but he just fiddled around and added a few bits and like all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So the bits of copper pipe that are sort of around it, it's actually the bracket.
Okay.
But you look at it and think that's cool. And then look at the shifter and the tap with the pipe.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it does anything or whether it's just there for, what do they call it? Steam pump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be the go faster part, you know.
He's dressed for the occasion, had the white t-shirt on with the round glasses.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Not a lot of safety features in that era, I'm afraid.
No.
That's what the skull and crossbones are on it.
What's that say on the door, Dale? It's a bit small what we're looking at. I couldn't read that. Is it an
Yeah.
SV something?
Yeah, it could be the SV90.
A bit more going on under the bonnet. Got a bit of a hole.
Group A.
Group A, yeah, twin throttle body, and there you go.
SV89.
It's an 89.
So the first one. Yep.
And I see Sean's Metals is he's doing a billet one of those now for the LS's.
Cool.
It's a cool looking thing. Very bright yellow.
In your face. Ah.
Now,
Yes.
was this an option with the red? It looks cool. I don't recall seeing one
I don't
before.
recall ever seeing the red in the
It's a good
stripe.
look
You
with
did
the
have
red
the
trim and
option.
all in it.
Yeah. You did have the option of deleting stripes and etc. etc. But for
I don't-
HK, I've never seen the red stripe. I've only ever seen the black.
I'll just do a U-turn. It's a very nice car.
A little more modern engine bay than they came out. Now that's a Chariot. Eh? Plymouth? It's like something out of the Ghostbusters movie. Nice big Plymouth Fury, was it? Don't remember my American muscle enough.
So we're downstairs now, and there's a couple of Commodores. I know they'd filmed both of them together. There's a red one and a yellow one, but really clean, you know, nice paint, nice engine bays. What about that, Dale?
Even I'd struggle to get up into that. Need a step ladder. That's got some serious suspension work going on there. Wow, certainly well done.
Yeah, I definitely don't know what it is, and like, I know what it is as it's a Ford, but I don't know what all the suspension and stuff is. But it's clearly had some money spent on it.
Yeah, Air Rider.
So he's obviously part of these guys. It's had the Falcon GP plate on it. So these, this club was in the same position last year with a lot of really nice cars, and I commented last year, I think, that, you know, I don't remember them being that nice, but they probably were. But there was some excellent examples on display. And I was having a bit of a chat to them, as I do, and this club's hosting the GT Nationals next year, 2024,
Yep.
at Shepparton in March. So there's a bit of a banner coming up that'll give you some dates if people are interested in that. And I've already booked my accommodation
Okay.
because I went and filmed the one at Bathurst has been very good for us as a show, and I enjoyed going there and catching up with people about the cars that I love. So this particular club has members with non-GTs as well. They're not just like a purist GT club as such.
Yep.
That wild violet, that was a loved colour, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was certainly very popular. It looks great with the orange. Really sets it off. Looks like it's got all the period correct stickers and dabs of paint and everything to keep it as genuine as possible.
You're going to have all that.
Yep. I see what you mean about the quality of the cars, Howard. There's not a bad one around. They're so well presented and clean, and
Well, that was a bit of fun. We had a little technical glitch there where we had to pull the pin on the sound for a minute, but we're back. This is a really nice combo. I like the, I reckon this is Surfer Orange.
okay.
So it looks yellow, but it's Surfer Orange.
Yep.
And like with the white and the sunroof, or in the correct term, the wineback.
Oh, the wineback.
The wineback.
Yes.
The Goldie wineback. So there's some very talented people up in Sydney that have remade all of the components to put those sunroofs into the cars. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of their name. I'll think of it in a minute. But they've had to develop every component. So
Right.
because it's a winding, they've got all those gears and cables, and yeah, they've remanufactured all of the parts to be able to put it in.
Sweet.
Yeah. Pretty talented people around.
There are. Present company included.
Sometimes Dale, sometimes. Delete stripe.
Yep. That reminds me of Boss XC, but
The trim,
just
yeah.
the trim.
I feel a bit guilty sometimes when the fact that we use ours every day of the week. But I did the options and looked at if I put ours away, because we've got the Supercharged FG, that if you stuck it away because it's too good to use and bought something else, you'd lose more money driving something else than you would by driving the good one. So I thought, well, we'll just drive the GT. They're a very nice car to drive. I mean, unless you went up to a top of the range Audi or Merc or something, you're not going to get a better drive than you do out of like an FG GT, or any of the late model Commodores for that matter as well.
They certainly had them sorted for Australian conditions and the miles that we do sometimes.
So you can see all the signs there for the Shepparton Victoria 20th Falcon Nationals. 2025's that say?
Yeah. Not next month. 13 months
That's
time.
right, yeah. So I said 24, didn't I?
That's
yeah,
right.
no, I booked it for next year. I thought, oh, hang on. No, I did. I checked it when I was standing there, because they said, where are you staying? So I said, I've already got my accommodation. Then they said, where are you staying? I had to get the old Expedia out and work out.
It's a different use of a stripe, isn't it?
It's very loud, isn't it? I was never quite sure about them. I seen the first one up at Bathurst in the lineup up there one year when it first came out, and I went, oh, it's in your face.
Yep.
So this is some of their non-GT members. The Super Snake.
Ooh.
So my brother Edge ended up with a Mustang with a fair bit of Shelby stuff on it.
Yep.
It's a bit hard to stay away, isn't it? Once you've had nice cars, it's hard not to have them. You can get a nice sort of 65, 66 Mustang for, you know, 50k nowadays. That's like a really nice cars and coffees car. It's an unusual colour for the 60s, isn't it?
Yeah. They're a big car.
It's just totally different when you look at that compared to the other things that we're looking at there. Even the ABs like this one. They sort of did that for it. Well, I guess Holden did as well a lot. You know, it went from a shape, and then the next era that normally had 3 or 4 models was like totally different.
Yeah, they really screwed up the paper and started it again. And yet, as you found when doing Boss XC, that the FG dash,
there wasn't a lot of difference.
There
in
wasn't
size.
much difference in size,
No.
but yeah, certainly different.
So now
shaping.
we're downstairs. So we're into the full show type elite cars. And I must apologise, somehow or other, in front of this car was a really nice orange hot rod under the cover. I obviously couldn't film it under the cover, but when I went back and I filmed a couple of others that were under covers, I missed it.
Oh,
So I apologise for that.
You'll have to go back next year.
I will. Might be at Motorex.
That's true.
So this was a Grandmaster from a few years back.
Yep.
And it shows the amount of work and fabrication and detail everywhere, inside, out, door jams, you know. Everywhere you look, incredible.
I was getting nervous thinking how to get in the back to clean it.
Exactly. And I was a bit surprised, I wasn't aware that, and then probably if I looked a bit harder I would have seen it, that whole tilt front and all when he was setting it up was electric.
Oh, okay.
On electric rams, yeah. Now you've seen this one before, Dale. This was at Motorex when we were there last year.
Yep.
So it's an Adelaide car. And I was talking to the guy that owns it about the styling and, you know, how things move and change. Yep. And he said, to be honest with you, the reason it's got so much colour on it, as in the bumpers and the wheels and everything else, is he got a price to get the bumpers chromed and went, I'll just paint them, because he's a painter. So
that's a fair call.
The whole mono colour thing and all came about as much about the fact that, oh well, I'll just paint everything.
Yep.
So like all the tail light frames and all that sort of stuff. Like I know if you can do it yourself, it saves on the money, but if you can't, it would probably be cheaper to do the chrome.
Not a lot of mono colour going on here. A heck of a lot of flames though.
No, it's definitely happening, and if you look inside the flames, it's got even more going on inside the flames. Bit of marbling or something. Now, Dale, this would be one of the cleanest restorations I've seen.
Yep.
I've seen a lot. in some places, like if you look at the grill on out, it almost looks too shiny, but that's more the lights and the lighting.
Yep.
But the amount of detail in this to get it to look like a new car, not a restored car, was incredible. All the little tags on the looms and all that sort of stuff. And I managed to have a chat with this bloke as well, and always impressed by the compressor clutch on the front.
Yep.
Because when we did 400, we had difficulty with that. He disassembled the clutch
Wow.
and had all the individual parts re-zinced and then put it back together. Now that's commitment.
That is commitment.
But apparently it was a one owner, it had been stored for a lot of years.
Okay.
So it was a very good car to start with.
Yep.
But he's redone the whole car. And it's been finished, primarily finished for about 5 or 6 years, but he just keeps tinkering away and doing a bit more and a bit more. So you've seen this one as well, Dale. So this was in the Superstars.
Yes.
And it was at Unanderra at Paul Beck's show. I don't know if you got to get to that show.
No, I didn't get to that one, but...
So he's done pretty well. I think it was got bronze medal in paint.
Yes.
I reckon in Superstars.
Yep, I got a couple of awards, I think.
Adrian continues to finesse it, tweak it here, tweak it there.
Certainly not your average Torana.
No, that's for sure. I mean, at some point when you build a car like this, is that you just got to accept the fact, I'm going to drive it. Because once you've done a couple of years on the circuit, if you sort of go back to Motorex 3 times or Summernats for 3 times.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with people doing that, but I mean, when I had my Mustang, I got to a point where I used to drive it to Summernats and still get it judged. But at some stage, you sort of got to go, well, you know what? Let's get it on the ground and put a few miles on it.
Yep.
Super nice car. And then this one was painted by the same guys up at Exclusive Customs. So they used to be in Sydney. They've moved up to
Up the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast now. Yeah. So this is another street car that got a bit carried away. Really nicely finished. I made comments one of the other shows that was at. I think it might have been at Summernats. Not Summernats. No, it was at Summernats. When you look at the grille and the lights and all that, it looks better than brand new. And that's, to me, the show of a really good car. They've all got good paint and they've all got polished engines.
Definitely.
But to get all the chrome and stuff to fit.
And that's often the hardest part, is getting these to fit
Yeah.
square and look the part. Because they never come out of the factory looking square.
No, exactly right.
It's a very dark burgundy, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It needs a lot of light to make it really pop. And I've made that comment before when I've filmed it. So I was talking to the guys from Deluxe Hot Rods that built this car, and just having a chat, and he said, it was meant to be here as a filler, and then they've stuck it in there, and it ended up winning an award, I don't know, Top 5 Street or something, I don't know what it was. But any of those cars that are built at that quality, 10 years on, are still a good car. That's the reality. Now, this was unusual. This GDR ended up getting an invitation Superstars.
Okay.
So there was 4 cars picked from the event. It's a nice red Torana, I think we'll see out the front in a minute. And then the black Monaro, the 69, there was the blown motor. This is one of my favourite engines.
Yes.
This is the Gurney.
Yes. We
Gurney
saw this at
Eagle-headed.
Motorex and loved it.
So he drove that in.
Yeah.
He had it
It's a
on
NASCAR
permit.
engine, I believe, was
No,
something.
not that one.
No, different one.
No, this one's, those heads would be from the 60s.
Okay.
So that's what they call Gurney Eagle
Ah,
headed
right.
Windsor.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Sorry.
very sort of rare
Yep.
parts. Be quite an expensive engine. old Wildcat. So it was front and centre last year. So it had been tucked away for quite a few years, and it was sold at auction. And then the guy that's got it now is in Melbourne, and it's a pretty interesting story. Apparently he bought the car, online on an online auction.
Yep.
But didn't really know what he was buying. And then when he told his mates, they've gone, you realise what you've done. You're now the custodian of this car.
Yeah,
You're going to have to look after it. It's not like it's some old bloody tip thing that you can just do anything with.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's obviously looking after it. Looks really good. That's the end of it.
Yep. It's all looking as good as I remember it.
So that was painted by Gene Winfield with Johnny Aristis in PPG. What seems like many years ago, probably 10 or 12 years ago. For those that don't know, most people would know, Gene's a very well-known customiser in the US, and I think well into his 80s now, and still chopping cars and painting cars in his 80s. Everyone keeps saying, well, Gene Winfield's still going out, you need to keep going. I'm going, yeah, well, I don't know about that.
Classic shape, isn't it?
Beautiful car. Another EH with an 8. And wonder what sort of wheels it's got, Dale.
I was just looking at the Venetians in the back.
It obviously goes hard because it's got plenty of tyre under it.
I'm glad they kept the two-tone.
I might have to get some for the van, Dale.
That's true. The Venetians in the van.
No, the wheels, man, the wheels.
No, come on, Howard. You're not one to conform. You need to buck the trend and start your own trend.
I think that'd be a bit hard with wheels, actually. I wouldn't mind getting an old set of the old BBS like Moffat had on the two-door, the
nice.
gold centre ones, but I think they've all been chewed up by the guys building the Dick Johnson special, because Dickie had them on the back of that as well.
Yeah.
But I like that look. I don't think it'll have them, but I like that look. Based on history, I'll probably end up with 5 spokes, because everything else I've had said 5 spokes.
Yeah.
So this is out of Adelaide, Dale. This is another fast car.
VC. So second model Commodore ever made.
It's got some beautiful aluminium work in it.
Yeah.
Because the only problem with polishing aluminium like that is if you get the slightest mark,
Yep.
the slightest little pin dent somewhere, it's going to stand out.
It's like putting a flashing light in your head.
Check this out.
Wow.
See, the door trims took me back a bit. I had flat aluminium door trims like that, but mine were brushed in '86 on my Falcon with an aluminium plate, on the dash and all that sort of stuff. So, what's old is new again.
Yes. Things tend to do a bit of a circle, don't they?
Yep. Uppbeats might come back.
Well, winter. It's a good thing. Bit of a different colour, isn't it?
But it's almost a bit like what my old Falcon was. The original rock solid. Like red, but got a bit of a brownie tinge to it.
Yeah. It's like not a dirty red, but it's.
So I went into the paint shop, the guys at Colonex used to mix my paint up for me, and I showed them a picture of a hot rod and it was candy apple red.
Yeah.
And I said, that's the colour I want, but I don't want candy. He said, well, but Howard, it is candy. And I said, yeah, I know, but I want that sort of red,
I want that,
that style of sort of colour. And they mixed me a colour in acrylic. And one of the tricks he used, he put a tinter in it called red gold.
Okay.
And that's where I think that brownie tinge comes from. But it was one of those colours that changed in the light.
Yep.
And with full sun, it had that real, almost candy look about it. But it was a one shot. It wasn't because it was the first car I was painting. I didn't want to be trying to paint candy. Nice clean FJ, that one.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm just starting to think it's EH week, mate. I reckon that's about the 8th one.
Yeah, there's been a few.
It's good to see. They were
Yeah.
flavour of the month in the 80s and 90s.
Put it this way, I was born in 65 and they were around before me, so they're getting on a bit.
Now, this is a classic example I was saying about paint. The paint on this was really, really nice. I mean, just the depth of it and the flatness. You know, and it's a car sitting there, it's not even opened up.
No.
And it's got, you know, what I'd class as full elite paint. It's bloody beautiful.
Yeah, it looks spectacular. Yeah, what were they called? How was it called? The fastback?
Fastback.
It was a fastback.
I had that option when I did mine, because mine was a coupe. And I just didn't quite like some of the rear angles on the back window, and then after you do it you think, oh, I probably should have done the other one.
You don't see many of these Porsches around, mate. These are very old.
So when we went to the Peterson, they had a Porsche thing going on. I think the first year I went there, 2018, and they had every era.
Yes.
Sort of up my knowledge a little bit on Porsches.
Well, when I went to Germany and we went to the VW factory in Wolfsburg, and they had a whole series of different museums with a lot of different models. It was impressive.
So this pickup's out of Deluxe again. So the boys there, this is one of the workers' cars.
Yep.
And this was built, they tell me, on a Saturday. On Saturdays,
that's right.
The crew would all come in and
they'd work overtime on the one.
Unpaid on
unpaid
their,
on
their mate's car.
Yeah, yep.
And they'd have a barbie and all, and then once the car was finished, it's like, oh, what are we going to do now?
Because I think they had like 6 cars at Motorex when we were down there last year. And
yeah, I said to him, it's like even here they had 3.
Yep.
It's a big chore to get them all clean and trucked in. And
this was in the hall of Motorex, was it? 68. Big black beastie.
So I'm pretty sure it was one of the 4 that picked up the Superstars plate to get himself organised for May. He was telling me that he's been slowly just chipping away, doing little things, polish a bolt here and change something there. He doesn't want to change anything. You know, he loves what he's got, but he's just trying to improve it from a judging perspective. You know, people have watched what I've sort of done before with cars. That's a never-ending process. So this is a very old car. This was I'm trying to think of the company that built it. So Macbeth was the owner, and it was.
It wasn't Roman Automotive, was it?
No, not this one. No, this was one of the Macbeth's own, and they had a working relationship with Cum Race Engines.
Okay.
And they dropped the sills on it and changed all the openings and everything. And then Rod Lingard, that did my Mustang trim, did the trim on it.
Yes.
And then it got sold, less engine. And the guy that's got it now, his name just escapes me right at the moment, he had an XA panel van back in the days when I had panel vans called Fire Truck. It's the same guy. So he bought it and he's tidied it up and
there you go.
Built the stand and all.
You wouldn't think you put so much effort into a push bike.
No, they're pretty cool, eh?
It's not a push bike. It's a work of art.
So the Hot Rod Show coming up in Sydney in May. I think it's the 28th of May this year. They normally have about 20 of them there.
They
have a lot of them. So pretty much every bit of open space has got a car in it or a bike in it at this show. So that's, I don't know how far in we're in, but that's all of the stuff in the hall.
Okay.
Now we've got the outside, the day cars.
You almost need to hit the pause button, get yourself a refreshment, come back and watch the next half.
So this is out of Deluxe again.
Yep.
So this is Uppbeat's own car.
It's a
I was
good
talking to
model.
him again. I was talking to a few people this
You
time,
were
Dale.
getting around, weren't you?
Yeah, and he was saying that his plan was to keep it pretty much that stock build, stock style. You know, it's still got a few factory pressings and stuff that
Yeah.
you know on a full on elite thing that you would do. And the engine bay, he said, like, take the bonnet off it, put some standard wheels on it, pretty much a stocker, but done really nice. And
Yeah.
it's,
Well, it's still got that period look, hasn't it?
yeah,
The
but
colour.
it's just that too good.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was in the running for Grand Champion this year. So
Okay.
he had a go at it, and the opportunity to do the driving events and do a bit of the burnout and stuff out on the track.
Cool.
He made the final 10. So they're doing startups with this every few hours.
Cool. You keep small children away from the intake, they get sucked
Sucked
in
in.
there. A Capri. They were a very popular vehicle back in the day.
A very quick car, the V6 ones, factory.
Yep.
That's a bit like the 6-cylinder Cortinas. A very
Yep.
light car and fairly well mannered car. I managed to have the opportunity to drive one of them
Yep.
back in the day too, a V6. I haven't told that story for a while, Dale. When I
No.
worked at the dealership, I used to
Yeah.
take a car home, detail it for a week and get to drive it. So I drove a lot of cars.
You've got to have some perks when you work at the dealership.
That's it. To drive an XY 252V manual.
Okay.
Yeah, that was they went alright too. They had 170 horsepower, mate.
Oh.
They went alright.
I reckon you wrung every horsepower out of its neck too.
I think I did because I broke the centre out of the Borg Warner. Was on the stoplights in the main street, so we pushed it a couple of blocks up the road so that when they come and picked it up on the Monday,
Yep.
take it back to the workshop, it wasn't at the lights. Don't know what happened. It just,
Don't know. Just
stopped.
went. Just. See, there's the original Vacationer. Got the.
Couple of stockers.
Yep.
So a lot of these, the ones that drove in that I've already filmed.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to do a bit of a walkthrough and get inside a few engine bays and stuff. So this is like the main forecourt. So probably the biggest crowd was around 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And you know, it was like shoulder to shoulder all through this area and in most of the halls. A lot of people through there.
Corvette.
So what's that about? It 90s or something, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's.
So you remember Chris Christou,
Yes.
the XY? Well, this is his lad's car.
Oh, okay.
And it was a pretty angry sounding thing. When they were moving it around at the end of the day, it was like, whoa, yeah, that's making some.
Yep. 427 on the number plates. I'm
Yep.
assuming it's matching.
Yeah.
Couple of bottles of Happy Gas.
I got sidetracked. There's a heap of people there. I never got a trim shot of that because I was going around the other
Yep.
way and then, hey, Howard. You know the story, Carl?
Yep. I'm familiar with you being summoned.
Sidetracked?
Yeah, and sidetracked.
So this was a super nice, like really, really nice engine bay, and I having a chat to the guy again,
Yep.
and he was saying that like the body and stuff's been done about 12 years, and that
Okay.
engine bay's been pretty much like that for 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
But he just put a new trim in it,
Yep.
new leather trim, and they race it. Because he's telling me it's had quite a few. I'm talking about the van, and
Yep.
I'm just going to run the Borg Warner. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I've had a few of them through this," and I never remember what times they've run and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to just see a car of that quality, and the fact that they do take it out and run it. And this is now when you come through the gate and you turn left to the cars we've just seen. This is right, and all these now are all lined up, and they go all the way up around the back.
Yep.
In this section, you can enter the show on the day and come and go as you please. So if
Wow.
you want to turn up at midday and leave at 1, that's
Yep.
fine. There's a car park. You're welcome. So what I'm trying to do with these videos is include everybody and not just the stuff in the hall.
Yep.
So there's that VW with the rack that I was talking about, the second one, and there's another one. I think this one had every conceivable factory option. I'll have the aerial, the mirrors,
Yeah.
bonnet badge.
It's got the lot. There's certainly something for everyone in there.
So that's the front I like, that with the blank out. What's that, an RS? Is that an RS?
Yeah, you got me.
Oh, I've got one up on you on a
Yeah,
GM.
I know. I'm slipping. Yeah,
What's that, Dale?
that's an Alfa Romeo, but can't remember what the model's called.
So you've levelled the score.
Because they looked a bit like the really early Lamborghini that was made.
It's Heather's car.
I'm going to say that I didn't know you drove Heather's car down.
No, it's someone else's. The ute was over in the car park at the motel. That was a bit funny. I went in the shopping centre in the ute, and there was that hand car wash. And I went, oh, that's the go. So I backed it in. He got me to back it in.
Yeah.
And I stood there and watched them wash it. And so I filmed it and put a reel up. Well, all the comments, oh, I don't believe you let them wash your car. I don't think they quite realise it's just another work ute.
Yeah. I like that colour scheme.
Nice clean one, but actually that guy had pulled me up too. He's all original under the bonnet and all. It's,
Okay.
he said, you want to have a look? And I went, oh yeah. He popped it up and it was an original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, no, yeah, it's all right. We'll just keep going with the camera, but thanks for the opportunity to have a look.
Yeah.
So it was a super day.
Yeah. And
No real wind. and
Melbourne turned the weather on for you, which is
yeah, it was
not what it's renowned for.
a bit
but
cloudy
it's-
in the morning and that burnt off.
Yep.
And then it was sort of full sun. This is still a bit cloudy in the morning now, but try and get around and get me work done.
We would have got some steps up that day, mate.
Look at that.
You're doing some mileage.
Another supercharged one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. About 9,000 or something, I
Yeah.
think.
Like you've been doing your weightlifting to keep hanging onto the camera, mate.
My arm was killing it. I come home and did a session on Tuesday, 'cause I got home Monday night, and the right arm was killing.
Yeah.
It's surprising. So that looks like the other one,
It does.
and it's not though.
No. It's about half the size of the rubber on the back
It's
end.
got a little bit of wheel up. That's the
Yeah.
one with the dress trims.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused. It was the same looking car. I dare say there's another turbo under here. No?
Yep.
Yep. On the other side.
Yeah.
There you go.
UC Torana.
Check out the boys at the Ute here. They're making lunch. I said to them, you got any spares? They're making a couple of rolls up.
It's the Eleanor look, isn't it? But in a candy apple red.
Check out this Val. I've seen this, I reckon, at the Father's Day down at St Kilda.
Yep.
Man, it's a standout car.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, whoa.
In your face.
So this is about as far away from the main areas you can get now. So these, like I say, these people can just come and go as they choose, but they're still sort of entered. And there's some nice cars up there.
Yeah, I guess you don't realise how many nice cars there are out there that, you know, you don't have to be entered in the show. They can turn up and...
Well, I think that's where cars and coffees come really good now, whereas you can go Sunday morning, get there at 7, have a coffee, egg and bacon roll, and be home by 11, take the kids to soccer or whatever.
Yep. Hope you had your sunglasses on looking at this one.
Camera normally struggles with the focus with that much shine. There's them wheels, though.
Yep.
Now I didn't realise that might be the same one actually. I was going to say,
it is.
Is there two there or not? But yeah, that was parked up with the club. He was telling me it was his missus' drive car. At this point, it's like, are we there yet?
Geez, you're not disappointed with your variety of cars going here, would you?
I mean, I suppose, you know, it's talking to people there, and it was a bit like, oh, have you seen such and such up the back or out the front? Or and it's just like, oh, is there more? So just a little bit of footage here. You can see out the front, you know, of the grandstand there. There's more cars there. We haven't got to them yet. I've got to go down there in a minute. There we go, look. There's more cars there.
Wow.
So that's where all the food is and the band's playing. And so the cranes there, the two towers, they're building units there.
Okay.
Nice old cruiser, got the lakes pipes.
Yep.
Always wanted one of them, you know. An XP.
Yep.
2-door, nice looking car. Ain't never gonna happen now, Dale.
Bruce's neighbour, has got an XP 2-door that's like just original.
Still got it?
Still got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
That's cool.
And he drives it all the time.
Yeah?
Yep.
I could do what everyone does to me, Dale, and just say, when I win the lotto, I'll just get someone to build me one of them.
Yeah. I can't say that. I don't play the lotto, so.
Look at the size of the turbo on that
man,
sucker.
that's
eh?
that'd need my little Mazda to turn that over. I think. Goodness me.
Incredible thing is this the technology behind the whole turbocharged thing now is the ability to drive those, like just drive it in.
Yeah.
You know, and then turn the wick up.
Yep.
And away you go.
Yep. They can do all sorts of things these days with the engine management systems and.
Now there's a trick on trivia.
Yeah.
Turn the wick up. Where'd that come from?
That comes from the old mining days with the lamp.
No.
No?
Well, not from where I was thinking.
Okay.
That's probably not a bad thought, though. That sounds
Okay.
like someone from Wollongong would come up with that. No, you turn the wick up on a gas fridge.
On a gas fridge? Oh.
So if you turn the wick up,
No
it
offence,
gets
Howard,
colder.
but you are older than me.
Yeah, it gets colder.
I was thinking,
So when you turn the wick up,
Yeah.
it's to make the fridge colder.
and I was thinking on the old kerosene lamp, you turn the wick up to make it light bright.
Brighter. So I think same
concept.
but different.
Yeah.
So maybe in Wollongong it comes
We
from
had
a lamp.
electricity before they did in the hill.
Yeah, probably. Well, I'm old enough that the fridge up at the lake, at the shack,
Yep.
was a gas fridge.
Okay.
So when you turned up at the shack, you had to light the wick,
Yep.
open the little door up, light the wick up, and get the fridge going. Turn the fridge on.
Turn the wick up.
Yep.
Make it colder.
Yep. So that's the tip for the day.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good. We'll see how many comments we get about it this deep into the video, Howard, you know. See what the audience thinks.
They'll be on their 6th stubby by now.
Oh, look, there's another EH.
Yep.
But it's a
I was
wagon.
talking to another bloke. They have an EHEJ Nationals.
Yes, they do.
They had it at Barrel
Okay.
last year, I think.
Yep.
They get like 180 cars or something there. They're going to Tasmania this year.
Oh,
Or for the next one, whatever
Yep.
that is. Because he was telling me he's going over to do a bit of reconnaissance.
yep.
Check the menu. At
Go over on the
Postal
ferry.
Station.
Yep.
So this is a nice little spot down here. There's a couple of trees. There's a club parked up in the middle.
Yep. It's a lot of engine.
They're a lot of. I love them willies. A very subtle build, this one.
Think about the small little engine that came out of that when it rolled off the factory, and the skinny little tyres that it had.
Yep.
And
It's pretty good when I get the camera up high like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going over the top of someone
Yeah.
that's going to walk in front of me.
yep,
But I should do that more often.
good
'cause it looked
perspective,
pretty
isn't it? Yeah. You're always learning, H.
I took that the monopod, instead of a tripod, it's
Yep.
a monopod,
Yes.
to one of the street meets. And
Okay.
I had it like 8 foot up in
Yeah,
the air.
okay.
Well, you know, when you're trying to get the
Yep.
cars, it's pretty cool, but it's hard on arms.
That's a combination.
Nice blue,
Yep.
very nice blue. There's a good run of cars along there, actually.
Tea buckets and all sorts of things.
And wheels are moved over to the hot rods as well.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think ahead, Dale. I don't know that there's too much more that I haven't filmed.
Well, I've lost count.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, it must have been 600 or 800 cars here, I
Oh,
reckon.
look at that Lotus Cortina.
Looks good with the factory wheels with the red sidewalls. I like that.
All I've seen lately is centre lines.
It's Melbourne, mate.
Very
Melbourne.
nostalgic.
The only
eh?
place you see more centre lines is when you go to Adelaide.
Okay.
Adelaide in the 80s and
Yep.
90s, everything had centre lines.
Everything, yep.
Yeah. But check out the width of the tea bucket.
Oh. There's some big Mickey Thompsons on the back of that.
Just dodge a few people.
Yeah.
Nice little vet. What are they? Hurricane wheels. Is that what they are, I think?
I think that's what they call them, yeah. Yeah.
Now, here's that HR I was talking about right at the start.
triple
Look at that.
Weber.
Quite an unusual rocker cover on that as well. It had the spinners on the wheels.
Yep.
It's a lot of car.
That's a lot of car, alright. It's even got cup holders. Hey, it's really modern interior.
The low rider.
Yep.
Wonder if it's got a badge, Dale. We can work out what it is. I reckon it's a 39.
I'm going to say late
40 or something.
30s.
Look at that. The whole underside of that's on the grass.
Wow.
That was a bit special too. I like that. So the wheels, I reckon they're Camaro or something
look
similar.
like that. Yep.
So by now the right arm's starting to lock up. Heading down the main straight now.
Yep.
Just about
Yep.
there.
You are at the racetrack, you might be heading towards the post.
Two-door.
Yes. You miss some things sometimes, you don't pick them up, and then you, oh, that's two-door. Four-door prim.
I'm in the HQ club.
Yep. VHSLE two-tone.
With some sort of pipe hanging
Yep.
off the engine
Big,
there.
dirty big snail. Yes.
Now this one here is a Survivor. This is the Perspex bonnet.
I was going to say, this looks like the Perspex bonnet.
Yeah, so that's Street Machine refeatured that.
Yep.
And I think we've seen that at Motorex.
Motorex, we did. That
There's
was,
a bit of a yarn to him at Motorex.
yeah.
Check out the pump on the rear guards.
Yeah, that's some serious hips on that baby.
Well, they're a big wheel arch, and I reckon they pumped them another 30 mil.
It looks at least that much. You're not done yet, Howard. There's
Hey?
more.
There's
You're
more.
not done yet, yeah.
Yeah, the band was having a break.
Yep.
So these are all the cars that, when I was filming them driving in.
Yes.
So these are them low
Yep.
Mustangs and stuff.
Mustang Cruiser Club of Victoria.
There you go.
God, they're aggressive looking, aren't they?
Oh, that is.
They look like they're going flat out sitting there.
You know where you're going, mate? Yeah, I'm with them.
Follow the leader. Wow.
Nice Effie. I miss our old one a bit.
Yes.
At a 74 F250 when I put a 460
Big bullet.
FMX in it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's the old hauler for the trailer. Did a lot of miles in
I'm going to
that.
say he did some miles. Oh, there's the old Firebird.
I'm trying to think now, because I sort of got a pretty good memory where I go and what I've done, and
Yep.
I've got a feeling I might have missed a few here, but I reckon I could be forgiven.
I think so.
With a bit of luck, I filmed them coming in.
Inertia wheels. So you could have a Brocky in any colour you wanted. It was black, red or white.
White. It's a nice colour.
That is a nice colour, yes.
Can't even think what green that is. Ours was Monza. It's like an emerald style colour, but I don't know what.
No
it's
point
called.
asking me.
No. I was a bit shocked when I got the engine bay that it had a modified engine in it.
Yeah, okay.
I was sort of, it looked really, you know, stock as a rock, and then you get there and go, ooh.
FB?
The pipes out through the inner
Yep.
guards, that was all the go in
That was the go.
in the 80s. Now this was fairly unique.
It's a fair lady,
No,
otherwise known as a 240Z.
they weren't a fair lady though, were they?
That was what they were called in Japan and in
Oh, were they?
America.
Well, there you go. Well, this
Yep.
one's got a billet engine.
This is some serious money spent on this thing. One of the sweetest sounding 6-cylinder motors ever made.
So I happened to be talking to his mate. I didn't talk to the owner, I was talking to his mate. And it's, it's got everything happening.
Wow.
And it drove in.
Yeah?
Yeah. It just come down the road and
Okay.
was going through the other gate. It sort of
Yep.
swung in and up next gate and off he went, and then pulled up out the front.
So I think the original one was a 2.4 6-cylinder. And then they worked their way up from, 2.6, 2.8. RB26, they should have in a Skyline. So it's a
Yep.
Skyline motor and etc. But yeah, originally they were a very sweet sounding 6.
Just that full custom Fairlane. So this was indoors here last year, and then
Okay.
outdoors at Motorex.
Yep.
We filmed it at Motorex. We had a bit of a good look at it there.
Yep.
It's probably one of those, oh yeah, that's my driver.
Yes.
So lots of seating out the front, and the band was there, and then they had, I think the guys that run the show did most of the food.
Okay.
So pies, sausage rolls, good for us though, we like a pie. Hamburgers, and what's the big snags called? The
Kranskis.
Kranskis.
Yeah.
Donuts, coffee.
Oh. Careful, I'm getting hungry, Howard.
Just have a look on the panel van on the way past.
Yep. Purple shag pile carpet on the roof.
So it's an excellent day out. So if you're a Melbourneite or down in Victoria somewhere, it's a good show to go head to for the day. The food costs were very affordable, and plenty of shade because it's all inside, it's all air conditioned. There's the pie rack, mate, look at that.
Excellent.
Full
I've got
as.
to get there.
And that Barbie ran flat out all day. All day. And then the day was done. So now all of those cars are all out,
Yep.
and the gate's shut by about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Wow.
All the ones
That's
inside.
impressive.
Closed at 5.
Yep.
By 8 o'clock, it's all done. All done. So my mate Elvis and his crew do an incredible job, and thanks for hosting me down there. If you like what you're watching, subscribe to the channel,
Hit the like button.
and what's the little thing you got to hit? The
bell icon.
The bell icon, so that you find out what we're up to.